This is KGW News at noon.
Welcome to the News at Noon. I'm Drew Carney, and we start outside. A look around the area where it is hot, to say the least, and it's only going to get hotter as the day continues. In fact, some spots may reach 100 degrees today. And it doesn't end tomorrow. We have more heat coming our way on Thursday. This is the third heat wave of the summer, so we're going to bring in Chris McGinnis right now in our Weather Center to talk more about this. Chris, a lot of the area, as you can see behind you there, is under a heat advisory this afternoon.
Yeah, that's exactly what that orange or peach shading means, a heat advisory for the I-5 corridor, basically from Eugene all the way north to Salem, including, of course, the Portland, Vancouver metro area, a good chunk of the Gorge, Central and Eastern Oregon. It's almost easier to say who's not in it, right? The coast and the Cascades, that's about it. So all of us experiencing hot weather today and again tomorrow. So here's where we sit right now from our Wells Fargo sky camera. It's 84 degrees last check at PDX. Also note off in the distance, you see a little bit of haze there out towards the Cascades. We'll check that out from this perspective from our Timberline camera, and there certainly is some high cloud cover working its way over Mount Jefferson there off in the distance. That cloud cover has actually been suggested by our models over the last 2 days to slowly work its way in over our area. You can see it actually showing up on the satellite imagery here. Whether or not that gets to Portland before peak heating is, kind of here or there, right? We're still looking at least upper 90s. I have Portland probably getting up to close to 100 this afternoon. It's already 87 degrees in Scappoose. It's 83 now in Salem, 84 in Kaiser. And my plan for today has us at 96 at 3 o'clock and 100 later today. Drew, as that high, thin cloud cover moves in, one of the things that will probably do for us is really help to keep our temperatures uncomfortably warm overnight. We could be looking at record warm overnight lows tonight, which will set the stage for another hot day tomorrow. More on that and your full forecast in just a few.
All right, Chris, we'll continue to talk about the heat. We'll talk about relief from the heat right here, though. Cooling centers opened up around the metro area this afternoon. In Multnomah County, libraries are serving as cooling spaces during their regular hours, and 5 of those libraries will stay open as late as 8 o'clock tonight and tomorrow night to help people stay cool. We have a full list of cooling centers around the area at KGW.com. You can also call 211 for more information and resources, but for life-threatening emergencies, you should still call 911. Also, for the latest updates to the forecast and to get weather alerts sent to your phone, you can download the KGW mobile app. Well, this afternoon, Vancouver police are still looking for a missing 16-year-old. We told you about Tristan Witt this morning on our Sunrise show. This is a picture of Tristan. Police say he's autistic, he suffers from a mood disorder, and he needs to take his medication. They say he left his home around 7 o'clock last night. He was last seen wearing a black t-shirt and light blue pajama pants with a shark print design. So if you see him or have any information on where he may be, call 911. Well, we just learned about the first case of monkeypox in Oregon involving a child. The Oregon Health Authority says the case is linked to an adult monkeypox infection from last month. The Oregon Health Authority isn't releasing the name, age, or location of the child. Monkeypox is not like COVID-19. It's not easily spread unless you have prolonged close contact with an infected person. We are expecting to get more information from the Oregon Health Authority at a news conference starting at 1 o'clock. We do know cases of monkeypox are increasing around the world, and health officials are now concerned about the supply of vaccine. The World Health Organization gave an update today saying case numbers have jumped 20% in the last week, with more than 35,000 cases altogether now in 92 countries. We also know 12 people have died. The World Health Organization's general director also says that vaccine supplies and data about their effectiveness are still limited.
We remain concerned that the inequitable access to vaccines we saw during the COVID-19 pandemic will be repeated, and that the poorest will continue to be left behind.
Almost all cases of monkeypox continue to be men who have sex with men. Here in Multnomah County, the Sheriff's Office is warning about a new form of fentanyl that's made its way to Portland. Rainbow fentanyl is the purest form of the drug, and this is a picture of what it looks like. Deputies seized it during a recent search along with guns, cash, heroin, and meth. The smallest amounts can kill you. But what's also troubling is the dye used to color the powder in some cases. Here's more on that.
It is a concern To a little kid, it could look like sidewalk chalk. It could look like a pixie stick. It's extremely dangerous, especially for children, extremely dangerous.
It's worth mentioning, last year in Oregon, 11 young people under the age of 18 died from fentanyl. That's more than the number of deaths, double the number of deaths, I should say, from the year 2020. Well, it's impossible really to ignore the mental health issues that face many young teens right now. The problem only gets worse with a shortage of mental health professionals. But in Washington, there's a new program that could offer a solution. Here's Kristen Goodwill.
I was always into art.
Painting is a way of communicating what we can't verbally express.
It's not done yet, but I'm kind of just stuck on what I want to do with it next.
20-year-old Bruno Flores is a University of Washington graduate. He majored in psychology.
I'm Hispanic. I was born in Mexico, came here when I was around 4 years old.
But Washington is home.
This is my country. I grew up here.
Was mental health something that was brought up in your family?
I think it was definitely brought up by my siblings and I, but it was often shut down. For the male side of the culture, it's very macho, be a man, don't cry.
Now Flores is trying to address mental health in minority teens through UW's Mental Health Matters program.
The primary goal really is to reduce suicide and hospitalization rates within the county, but also the state of Washington.
University of Washington Bothell professor Jody Early is the co-director of the community-based program in partnership with Verdant Health and North Sound Accountable Community of Health.
We understood that we couldn't wait for professionals to graduate and get licensed and get into community. We needed to do something now.
They train people about mental health who then go back into their communities and can educate and provide resources.
As we look at numbers from the CDC and other organizations, we see that just over the last 5 years, rates of suicide have more than quadrupled.
For the teens, they have peer navigator training as well.
Not only provide, basic fundamentals about what is mental health, but to talk about it through a cultural lens.
Their youth advisory groups are led by those like Bruno.
And I think once these resources are available, it'll improve the lives of those that are suffering from mental health issues.
That program, by the way, has been so successful that it's expanded now to 5 different counties in the Seattle area. Of course, school is returning here in the Portland area in the next few weeks, so it's really important to discuss the mental health of school kids. Parents, we have some advice for you through this story that Brittany Falkers put together. She talked to a doctor about the 3 things you can do to make sure kids are ready mentally and physically for the new school year. You can watch that story right now on our website, KGW.com, under the health section. Oregon's firefighting community, meanwhile, is mourning the loss of an off-duty Bend firefighter and his twin brother who died earlier this week in a small plane crash. Daniel Harrow's plane went down on Monday in Idaho. Harrow was in the plane with his twin brother Mark, and they were heading back to Bend after a camping trip. According to officials, Daniel was an avid flight enthusiast and was piloting the plane. He had previously worked with the Scappoose Fire District before he moved to Bend, where the chief called his loss heartbreaking.
He was more than just a paramedic and a firefighter. He served as a mentor. He definitely, ran high-profile calls for us when it was required. He was revered by our volunteers, and everybody on our staff just thought the world of him.
There's still no word yet on the cause of this crash. Daniel and his twin brother were 38 years old. Well, Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney has met the same fate as Jamie Herrera Butler. Both were among the 10 Republicans to vote to impeach former President Donald Trump, and both lost in the primary. Cheney was not expected to win, though, based on polling, and she was soundly defeated in Wyoming by Trump-backed challenger Harriet Hageman. Cheney is part of the January 6th committee, and that didn't sit well with Wyoming voters. Despite her loss, Cheney told the Today Show this morning that she would not do anything differently.
I won my primary by 73 percentage points 2 years ago. The path to that same victory would have been very easy. It was clear how that path would go. But that path would have required that I accept, that I embrace, that I perpetuate the big lie. And I've been very clear at every moment since January 6th that there are some things that have got to be above politics.
Cheney also didn't rule out a possible run for president and said she'll be doing whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office.